Chris, Social Security is such a big topic for retirees and honestly one of the most misunderstood parts of retirement. The trust fund now says it's supposed to be depleted by 2034 with only 81% of benefits payable. Should today's retirees be concerned?
Yeah, this is a great question. That's an emotional topic for a lot of people. I mean, how many times have you been online and saw an article with the headline, Social Security's running out of money?
Yeah.
We've said before on previous shows, TV and radio, that we've been talking about this for 40 or 50 years. And I've personally met with a couple of pastors in the past who opted out in the 1980s because at one point they allowed you to opt out. First, like pastors were allowed to opt out. And the thing that was told to me was, well, I opted out with the intention of taking that 6.2% and applying it into an investment account. Well, then life happens.
Sure.
And that money didn't get saved.
They didn't invest it, yeah.
Right. So everybody pays into Social Security. 6.2% of their income goes into Social Security. The employer pays 6.2 as well.
Right.
If you're self-employed, you're paying both halves, so it's 12.4. So it's kind of a forced savings plan in a way. And it's emotional for people. It's emotional for me to think about if I let myself go there, because I've paid into it for a number of years. I'm 52 years old at this point.
Yes.
You've paid into it
since I was 16.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We all have. So it is very emotional. Do I think it's going to go broke? I don't. And I'll tell you why. Number one, about 20% of the U.S. population is on some form of Social Security. That's Social Security disability.
Right.
That's Social Security benefits as a retiree. That could be children, minors receiving Social Securities, lost parents, disability, special needs kids. There's a lot of people on Social Security. So you're telling me that you're going to let a benefit lapse or not be payable or 81% payable when 20% of the people are on it, and a large majority of those 21% are using it as a single source of income.
I know,
So I don't think it's going to go broke, and I know there's people out there watching the show who are going to get angry and say, oh, it's going broke. Well, you know, we've been having the conversation for a while. That's what I'll continue to say. In the 80s, it was kind of saved or resurrected at the last minute, and I do believe personally that that's what's going to happen here. And notice we haven't heard a word about it in the last 10 or 15 years, except through the media.
Right.
So we've heard about it there, but we haven't heard about it from anybody running from office.
No, you're right. We haven't. They're kicking the can.
They're kicking the can, right? So it's a difficult topic to talk about because I believe that it's going to require a payroll tax increase. The payroll tax hasn't gone up since 1990, so it's been a long time, over 30 years at this point. And I think that it's probably going to take that. I think that it's also going to take the payroll wage cap being adjusted. Right now in 2025, it's $176,100. So once you make over that, you stop paying your 6.2% into Social Security.
Well, they could adjust that.
So they could easily adjust that.
Yeah.
To me, that's an easy one to run on because that impacts the higher net worth individual, the family that's making more money, the wealthy, as the media likes to always point out. The wealthy are getting richer. And well, this is an easy one.
How about
to raise that.
Yeah.
And the wealthy have to pay into Social Security for a longer period of time. So I 100%, I believe that that's going to happen. That's a personal belief of mine. I also think it's going to take a payroll tax increase. And I think that they may kind of mess around with the full retirement age.
I bet they will.
So it's 67 today.
Oh, no.
And so back in the 80s, they started scooching it up from 65 to 67. You know, I still have people today coming to the office and they'll say, Chris, I'm retiring at 65 because that's full retirement. Well, in their minds, it's full retirement.
They think that.
That's when Medicare
incorrect.
Kind of right, 67. So I think that we're going to see that. And the one thing I'm worried about is the cost of living adjustment that's associated with Social Security.
Yeah.
I think that they could mess with the calculation of that.
Oh.
So I know that when we're planning at the office and we're running our models and cost of living, we're always estimating a little bit lower in anticipation of the government doing something that we can't see at this point. So we're kind of estimating things on a more conservative level.
Playing it safe.
Right, exactly. So I don't think it's going to broke. To kind of wrap up your question, I don't think it's going to go broke. I think it'll be saved at the last minute. And the person or congressional party that's in office at the time that saves it at the last minute will be the hero.
Yes, they will.
So all of this kicking the can down the road is going to put somebody in the hero seat later on. even though it's going to make a lot of people sweat for a little while.
Yeah, everybody's still kind of sweating right now. 2034 is not very far away,
And to that point, I do believe everyone should be saving, especially the younger generation, in anticipation of it being different than what it is today.
Yeah, exactly.
I still believe it'll be there. I just don't know what it'll look like 30 years down the road.
Yeah.
And there'll be a grandfathering period and all that, I'm quite certain.
True. Yeah.
But everybody should be saving adequately as if it's going to look different.
Okay, yeah, good to know. Good stuff here. But why don't you give me your top reasons why someone should wait to claim Social Security? Because I have friends who are, they turned 62 when they started claiming them. And I'm like, I'm waiting till full retirement age for sure.
So I think there's a lot of reasons we should take a look at why we shouldn't claim. The number one reason to claim for individuals watching the show is I want to get my money and I want it now. I want it now.
Yes.
Or there's the break even, right?
Yeah.
People look at the break even. There's the engineers. I work with a ton of engineers. They build the spreadsheet and say, oh, I got to live to 79 or 80 years old. And I'm like, yeah. Everybody's living a little bit longer nowadays.
True, yeah.
People are living into their mid 80s pretty easily nowadays. So I think we have to look past the break even. So don't pay attention to the break even. I think we have to look at it for two big reasons. Number one, I'm married.
Yeah.
You're married. We want to make sure that our spouse is protected when we die.
Right.
Because when we die, we have two Social Securities, right? One of us passes away, the lowest Social Security goes away. And I've heard men tell me, well, Chris, it's no problem. She keeps my Social Security. But I'm like, hello, she loses hers.
Yeah.
Hers was $1,500, yours was $3,000.
So you're short $1,500.
You're short $1,500.
Yeah.
That's a new neighborhood in my book.
Right.
That's a lifestyle change for sure.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we have the higher income earner waiting as long as possible.
Okay.
Because it's spousal protection.
Sure.
The other thing we have to look at is the taxation of Social Security. I know that people say, I already pay taxes and I got to pay taxes on it. Yes, you do, but only up to 85%. So 15% is free from federal tax. In Alabama and Tennessee, there's no tax on it either.
Yeah.
So it's 15% free all the way around.
Right.
Okay. So we have to think about that. So the larger that Social Security amount is, then that 15% is technically larger as well. So it puts you in a more favorable tax situation.
Yeah.
Really, you're going to end up netting more net income that's more tax favorable. And it helps in the tax planning or tax strategy side of things as well. If you're doing Roth conversions, you may want to wait a little bit longer and not really cloud the return with income. So there's tax reasons and spousal protection reasons on why I think somebody should wait. Those are my two big ones.
Chris, what changes to Social Security are likely to be seen in your opinion?
Yeah, so we went over a couple of them in the opening segment here, but I definitely think I mentioned the payroll wage cap. I think that's going to have to go up.
Right.
I think, to me, like I said earlier, I think that's an easy one to fix because those that are making less than that, they're still paying into Social Security. It's really benefiting the higher income earners to stop paying in at $176,100. Right. So I think that's an easy one to fix.
For sure.
And frankly, I can't understand why they haven't actually done that one already.
I mean, that makes you think, why are they always saying, oh, the rich are getting richer? Well, they're not. They're not paying some things they could contribute more. Yeah. Sorry.
And there,
if you're wealthy, but
there are rules to changing Social Security. There has to be a legislative process and a bill passed to do that. It can't be done through budget reconciliation.
Right, like you said, yeah.
So I think that I just don't know why they haven't addressed that one because that would push the solvency out several years just by itself. But what will happen? They'll just continue to kick the can down the road. So that's one thing that I think will happen. I do think they'll probably mess around with the full retirement age. I think you're going to see that get pushed up. And why do I think that? Because other countries are actually doing that right now.
Yeah, France is, I think,
They did a few years ago.
They were old. They were not happy.
Yeah, Denmark, actually, one of the more recent ones, just pushed it to 70. So that just happened here recently. So I think
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I really don't know either.
Because, I don't know, it seems like a long time to
But
have
again,
to
there'll be
work.
some grandfathering.
Yeah.
So I think people that are over a certain age, and maybe that age is 60, I don't know what the age is, but there'll be some sort of grandfathering in, just like they did before when they raised it from 65 to 67.
Yeah.
So I think that'll happen. I also think there's got to be a payroll tax increase.
Right.
And the longer they wait, the worse it gets. And I think right now, today, we're probably looking at a 3% increase. If they wait to 2033 or 34, you're probably looking at closer to a 4% increase. So they need to start acting on that right now, but they won't because it's not a favorite topic to run on when you're running for office.
Yeah.
It's, hey, we're going to raise taxes, vote for me.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Get out of here. It's not going to happen.
Would like that.
I think there's several things they can do. I think those are kind of my 3 or 4 things that I think is going to happen.
Okay. So my next question is, tell us how WG Financial Group views Social Security and tell us how it plays into your retirement process.
Yeah. So don't laugh, but we view it as a guaranteed stream of income. Right? Okay. And there's people out there laughing, guaranteed, it's going broke. What do you mean?
I know, it's not guaranteed.
Throwing stuff at the TV right now. No, we do view it as a guaranteed stream of income.
Yeah.
And again, I said there's a lot of people on it. I don't think it's going to go broke.
Yeah.
In our office, we view it as a guaranteed COLA adjusted stream of income. Okay. And so in the planning process, in the R process, RITE, the retirement income, you've got retirement income is Social Security. It could be pensions, it could be annuity income. Those are your guaranteed streams. Social Security is one of those. If you're a federal employee or military, you have a pension that's COLA adjusted, and you have Social Security that's COLA adjusted. Now, does it really keep up with the cost of living of what it costs to live today? Maybe not. There's a lot of arguments against that. I would tend to agree with that. Yeah. But it's better than most people when it comes to COLA adjusted income.
Sure, yeah.
So we do view it as a very strong piece of the retirement income. We also view it as part of the tax strategy as well. And in the segment before, I talked about one of the reasons I think someone should wait is for tax reasons, because 15% of it is free, free from tax.
Right,
so we have to think about that. So it is part of it. It falls in the R in the process, and we look at it as a strong piece of guaranteed income.
Right, because it's income. It is income you're going to have, what would be the earliest date then that people can claim Social Security, Chris?
Technically, you could say a widow or widower can collect at 60.
Okay.
But for most people, it's going to be 62. That's going to be the earliest that they can collect. Now, would I collect at 62? Not in a lot of cases. Because if you collect at 62, you are really signing up for a 30% haircut on your benefit.
Yeah.
You're going to take a 30% cut, and that cut is permanent.
Right.
It's also potentially, depending on whose was higher, harming the spouse as well. So let's take, for an example, we've got somebody that has a much higher Social Security, and they claim at 62 they take the 30% cut.
Right.
They've also penalized their spouse, because if they predecease the spouse, then the spouse gets the higher of the two incomes, but now the higher of the two income is 30% less than what it could have been. Right. So I think you have to think about Social Security as, you have to think about it as a team player. You and your spouse. You're on the same team. How do I best protect my spouse? I know at our firm, we're all about protecting the surviving spouse. And I would say that most families out there are as well. So I don't want to portray that, men don't think about their wives. No, they do. But sometimes as men, we can get really zoned in on like one thing, one track mind. And it's like we're not thinking about the other outcomes there. And I think that's where we kind of come into play. But the earliest is 62. We do like to see people get to that full retirement age, 67, 66.
Yes. I'm 66. Mine is 66 and 10 months.
66 and 10 months, yes. So you were born in
1959.
59, exactly right.
Yeah.
So the easy way to remember that is a full retirement age is 1960 or later. And then you can just back it up from there and determine when somebody's full retirement age is based on their year.
Yeah.
So yours is 66 and 10, 1959.
Right.
66 and 8 would be
8 months and 58,
exactly. So you can just kind of count backwards.
Yeah.
Good way to remember that.
Yeah. I want to ask you about some of my friends, and the possibility of them claiming their husband, like they're 62 and them claiming their husband's Social Security. Yeah.
Right.
Explain that. Yeah.
So you're talking about the half rule.
Yes.
So this is very confusing, because let's make this real clear. At death, you lose one.
Exactly.
So the lower one goes away.
Right.
That's different than what the question that you're asking. Your question is asking if my spouse's income is a lot more than mine, to where mine doesn't equal half,
right,
then I get the differential between the two. So let's take that example of $3,000 a month.
Okay.
And one spouse's is $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, there's a $500 per month differential there.
Yes.
So they would be eligible to get that unless they start early. And so let's say the lower income spouse starts hers. Let's just say the wife starts first. She's penalized for her amount, and so her amount won't quite equal that half.
Right.
So it's not always half. It's only half if they both wait until full retirement age.
Oh,
and then
interesting.
it can be half. But if the lower income spouse starts early, then they'll be penalized for starting early, and therefore their amount will be a little bit less.
Okay.
The other thing to note here, just to kind of take this a little bit deeper, is the half is what we'll call it, is based off of full retirement age.
Okay.
So I've had people come in the office and they say, hey, I'm going to wait till 70 because my wife gets half of mine at 70. That's not true. It's only half of what your full retirement age would have been, not the 70 amount.
Right,
so,
because explain that part. Because if you wait till 70, you get
more.
8% more.
You do. You get 8% a year more and all of that. But the spousal that you're talking about, that half is only available up to the full retirement age.
If grandparents are taking care of grandkids primarily, let's say they even have guardianship, can the minor grandkids get Social Security, Chris? That's my question to you.
So the short answer to this is no, not under guardianship.
Okay.
So guardianship doesn't do it. So I've run into this situation before where we kind of laid out the rules for a family. So we had a set of grandparents and they had guardianship and they were taking care of the kids. And one of the things we told them was if you legally adopt them, then that does open up some windows for some opportunity for them to get some additional Social Security money. So the guardianship doesn't do it. You do have to legally adopt them.
Okay.
So, and that's a kind of a rare situation, but it's an important one, especially if grandparents are taking care of grandkids.
Right, yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, but it's a lot. If you think about kind of put yourself in that position, it's a lot as a parent, even though you may have some struggles and whatever the struggles may be, you're giving up the rights to your kids. I mean, that's a big decision.
Tough. Yeah, giving up so the grandparents can adopt. Yeah, that's a touchy situation.
It is, but it's just good to know the rules behind
Right, exactly. Now, I want you to, I know you have talked about the break-even points, whether someone should or shouldn't claim their benefits. Can you spell that out for us?
Are we really going to that break-even right now? You're going there.
Yeah, I'm going there because you're a nerd and you love this.
Yes, you just called me a nerd on TV. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Nerd
Retirement
with
nerd. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm saying it endearing.
Yeah, sure. So the break-even is what a lot of engineers look at. I've mentioned before on shows that we work with a lot of engineers. They bring in their spreadsheets and this, I want to collect at this age because I got to live to a certain age. And the break-even happens somewhere between 78 and 80. And it really depends on the COLA, the cost of living adjustment being used. We don't like the break-even strategy because I think that it doesn't take into account some things that I talked about earlier, which are the taxation of the benefits. Doesn't take into account the spousal protection side of the benefit, which we feel very strongly about, is making sure that when there's a loss of income, that the surviving spouse, whether it's husband or wife, that they're going to be okay. If there's a pension loss too, it gets even worse. So let's say you have a pension that's no survivor. You pass away, that's gone. You have Social Security. We know the lowest one's gone there.
Right.
Sometimes that can be a pretty substantial loss of income. So I don't like to look at the break even. Too many people look at that and don't take into account some other factors that I feel like we should be looking at.
Can you kind of explain how you figure the break even? Well, I don't quite understand.
Well, you figure you're collecting at 62.
Yes.
And then how long does it take you to break even where if you waited until like 67?
Your full retirement age.
Correct.
Okay.
And you put that on a spreadsheet, you run it out, and the crossover is I would have to live until 79 years old, for example, to really make up if I waited on Social Security.
Okay.
And so we're very pessimistic as humans.
Yes.
We have a really poor outlook on how long we think we're going to live.
Yes.
A lot of men that I sit down with are like, Chris, I'm not living to 78 years old. My dad died at 67. My uncle died at 52. I'm the oldest living male in my family right now. These are stories that I hear.
Yeah.
But then you have to look at the medical technology that's out there today. The fact that most of us, and I hope that a lot of our viewers, are going to get our physical every year, making sure our blood work is okay. And I know there's arguments on holistic and doctors, and there's that nowadays because everybody wants to be online and be their own doctor. There isn't self-advocate, you do have to self-advocate to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But we should be eating properly, we should be exercising, we should be going to get our physicals. And if we do that, the chances of us living longer, it's probable, let's put it that way. I think when we look at the break even, most people look at the break even around 78 because that is the age of a newborn baby girl or baby boy. That's the average age of death. But as we start aging up and we get into retirement, those mortality tables tend to shift.
Right. Like I'm 65, so now my chances for living longer went up.
You're into your early to mid 80s at this point as a female.
That's good if I keep doing everything right.
I think that's what we have to think. We have to think about the data and not the emotions. And Social Security is very, very emotional. Very emotional for a lot of people.
Right, it is. Now, this is kind of funny, but you mentioned one of your advisors have said that people tend to treat Social Security like a game. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so I have an advisor on staff. His name is Graham. He's a certified financial planner professional as well. And one of the things he said on our radio show is that the individuals and families tend to treat it like a game. Like, I want to get my money. I want to get it now before it goes broke. Or I'm not going to live past the break even. And so, it's treated like a game instead of a strategy. And I think that's how we look at it at the office is how does this Social Security guaranteed retirement income, how does it play into your overall plan as a strategy?
Okay. Now, a key area of your practice involves tax efficient strategies. We talk about that a lot. Of course, related to Social Security benefits. So I want you to talk about that side, just how you deal with taxes and Social Security. Yeah,
so the more Social Security income, again, you get that 15% for free that we've talked about a lot on the show. The more of that you get, really the more tax efficient your planning could be. You have to take into consideration when you're looking at Roth conversions. You have to take it into consideration claiming when you're working, because I have some people that say, well, I'm at my full retirement age and I'm still working and I'm going to go ahead and claim because I don't have to worry about my income impacting my benefit amount.
Yeah.
I don't know if you should do that because you're missing out on the growth and you're also increasing your tax liability today if you're working and taking Social Security. And if you're working, do you really need it? Or could I leave that in play for my spouse? So there's a lot of...
It's interesting because
there's a lot of things we bring up.
Yeah, sometimes you think about double dip. Oh, I'm going to double dip.
But once you hit your full retirement age, you're getting 8% a year plus COLA. So some years it could be 10, 11%.
Right.
You're giving that up.
Taxes. Very interesting.
Strategies.
Strategies. Talk about tax implications for that surviving spouse.
Well, the tax implications of a surviving spouse, we said it on previous shows, you're going to go in the single filer bracket. So in the year of death, you can still file as a married couple.
Yeah.
But the following years, you're going to be in the single bracket. So when you think about your Social Security income being less, that means more than likely you're going to have to pull from another source. Maybe it's an IRA. So you have less Social Security and more IRA. That's going to lead to a more taxable situation in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So that single filer bracket, that widow's tax basically is what happens there. It's not as friendly as the married filing jointly. So I think there's some upfront strategies early on in retirement that families should be looking at to really think about what may happen 20 years down the road, or sometimes maybe 10 years down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to look at that.
Yeah, a lot of things you have to look at.
For sure.
Thank you so much for all of this great information today, Chris. Retirement can be an emotional time for many individuals and families. And there are so many critical decisions like establishing your retirement income, structuring your investments, looking at tax strategies, healthcare, long-term care. The list just goes on and on. We encourage individuals and families to seek professional advice that meets their personal needs and circumstances. If you would like more information about how we can help you, please contact us. We would love the opportunity to sit down with you. For Chris and the team at WG Financial Group, I'm Luann Fulmer. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
This program is sponsored by WG Financial Group, where your retirement matters.